Time to get up and go to work. Yes, sirree. This is Eureka John, and you're on Eureka Street Crypto Hub, broadcasting live from Leander, Texas. Leander, Texas. That's how I normally say it, I guess. And the time is 5:33 in the morning, and it is September 27th, 2021, a Monday. Ready to get started with this week? I guess I am. Yeah, man, I've been doing lots of family activities over the weekend, and I'm exhausted, but I'm still up, still doing it every single day since October 24th, 2020. I'm paying my dues and making sure I get it done. Yes, sir, Bob. This is what this is about. This is my video blog, and I just cover all things crypto, and I talk about just about everything, I guess. So, yeah, welcome to this show. Nothing I say is financial advice. Nothing I say. I'm not a teacher. I'm just a dude with an internet connection and a camera. So, don't take seriously anything I say. But you're free to give me suggestions. There's a chat box right there on the YouTube. So, say what's up. All right. Okay. And I'm not shilling anything. I'm not sponsored by anybody. And I'm trying to keep it that way. So, now it's available on Spotify too. Spotify, Last.fm, Google Play. I've been starting to put interviews up there, kind of like fixing the audio and making sure everything looks and sounds okay, because you can't, But so if you're on a commute and stuff like that, and you don't really have access to YouTube or whatever, or an internet connection, you can download this crypto trash and put it on your iPhone and listen to it later, or whatever you're using. All right, so let's go over here to the old CoinGecko. I use CoinGecko. If you use CoinMarketCap or CoinPaprika or whatever other one, CoinCodex, I'm not going to judge you. I just like CoinGecko because maybe I'm just a sucker for their marketing. I don't know. But let's see here. And I do notice that there is some price variation between all the different coin listings. For instance, Hex is on CoinPaprika in third place. So let's just take a quick look at that. I want to show this, and I'm not trying to start any type of Hex commentary or anything like that, because I know the second that I say Hex, all the people in the Hex community, their ears will perk up and they'll just start flooding my inboxes with Hex propaganda. Not that there's anything wrong with Hex, whatever. It's just the community is a little overwhelming sometimes. Okay, so here we have, right here in third place, we have Hex. And Hex has a pretty large market cap. But like I said, their followers are pretty overwhelming. And so some people in the other parts of the crypto space don't like to say that Hex is legitimate. I mean, as far as I can see, it seems to be a working financial product, regardless of whether or not you like the community or not. Shouldn't have any bearing on whether or not you list them. It is listed somewhere on CoinGecko, but I don't think it has a ranking. So let's check this out. All right, so Hex is on there, and you can look it up. And let's see here. Yeah, ranking not applicable. So you can look it up and check the price of it, but the ranking is not applicable. We're on number 3, and CoinGecko is 44 cents a token. Let's see where it is on CoinPaprika. So I guess just goes to show that the different coin listing sites have different biases, I guess, and they get their information from sources. Okay, so it's 44 cents here as well. Bitcoin's $43,913.01, and then let's see where it's at on CoinGecko. And my computer connection is running a little sloppy right now. Probably because I should probably turn off this miner. Yeah, I should probably be turning off my miner before I start trying to live stream. So, all right. Okay, so let's go back to the coin listings. So it was 43,913 on CoinGecko, and let's see where it is on Coin Paprika here. All right, if I can get over to it. Okay, so 43,878 on the Gecko. So 43,884 now. So yeah, it just goes to show that there's some slight differences between these, and yeah, they get data from different sources. I know CoinGecko uses Chainlink as its oracle. I'm not sure what Coin Paprika does. CoinMarketCap does not use Chainlink; it uses its own oracle. So yeah, by oracle I mean the uh, the the code or the program or the device in which the data is from the real world into the blockchain or into a specific source online. And, Chainlink is one of those oracles and decentralized oracle, meaning they get it from lots of multiple different sources. The source of the information is not just centralized in one spot. And so yeah. Anyway, I use CoinGecko regardless of their biases and stuff like that. Towards hex. I don't know. But yeah, like I said, I just like CoinGecko. So let's see. Bitcoin is at $43,884.77. Ethereum $3,111.06. Cardano $223. Tether $1. Binance Coin $349.93. XRP 96 cents. Solana 147.51. USDC is $1. It's a stable coin again. Polkadot 29.32. The Doge 20 cents. Avalanche 69.62. Terra Luna 36.52. Binance USD is $1 stable coin. Anyway, so besides like this entire bloody campaign that's been having for the month of September here, really hasn't done a whole lot else, and that's okay. Whatever. I don't really focus this show on price. It's not really my priority, and whatever, dude. So anyway, let's go to some stuff that I've been finding. This is an interesting article found on Hacker Noon. I like Hacker Noon a lot. They always just put really cool tech stuff. It's not market based. It's just like finding cool new projects and stuff like that, and just asking weird hypothetical questions and stuff like that. So yeah. It's not always based around just crypto either, but a lot of it is. Okay. So, what is a multi-dimensional distributed ledger? I saw that headline and I was like, oh, wow. Now that is something I have to read. It has these like weird little alien vent things. It kind of looks like an AC vent of some weird electronic car. Well, anyway. So distributed ledgers are not exclusively blockchains. That is true. You can see that in XRP and you can see that in Hedera Hashgraph. But blockchains are the most widely used distributed ledgers. Okay, so that's something that people a lot of times don't know until they're a little deeper in the space, is that you don't have to have a blockchain to have a distributed ledger. So for the sake of simplicity, we'll take the traditional blockchain architecture as an example and build our new distributed ledger on top of it. This idea might be the next revolution in the blockchain industry, a way to deal with scalability, limit transparency, deal with energy consumption, since we can use any consensus mechanism, okay? At the same time, it might be an idea that is only good on paper, something that will be near impossible to achieve. This is my vision of a real decentralized, widely used distributed ledger. Further studies are a must. Okay. So this person is writing this article to propose a multi-dimensional distributed ledger. So sounds pretty crazy. And when I read this article, it is pretty crazy, honestly. So hold on, let me take a sip of my kombucha tea here. I'm not sponsored by these guys, but this stuff is really good. The cayenne cleanse stuff, it has a kick to it. Anyway, to understand this concept, imagine a normal blockchain of 4 blocks. The block header has a header, a body, and the header contains the block number, the hash of the previous block, the Merkle root, or the hash of this block's data, a nonce, which is in the proof of work, and then the timestamp. Okay, so the body contains data, and this data can vary widely from simple transactions to smart contracts to any kind of data we want to store in our chain. So here's what a basic blockchain looks like. So you have the genesis block, which is the first block, and then you have the block number, the previous transaction block hash. In the Genesis block, that would just be all zeros. And then timestamp, or it wouldn't be there, and then timestamp, the blocks hashed, then the nonce, and the data. But the Genesis block is all zeros for the blocks hash, or not, yeah, the block number. I'm sorry. Anyway, sorry, I barely know what I'm talking about. All right, so just bear with me. Okay, so then it goes on to the next one, and the way that blockchains are tied together is right underneath the new block number, you have the previous block hash. So you wouldn't be able to make a change to any block, up here or down there without doing all the previous ones before it. So you wouldn't be able to make a change to block number 3 without doing the changes to block number 2, block number 1, and stuff like that. So that's the beauty of a blockchain, is you have to change every single one that has happened since then. And with the block time, the time it creates to create the hash, and the multiple times it needs to be verified, it basically becomes impossible to do that in the time, to change all these in the time that's needed to create a new block that wouldn't be accurate back there, or to alter the data. So anyway, you can kind of see how they're all tied together. Then the data is down at the bottom. The more data, the more block space it fills, and the more expensive the transaction gets. And that's why you see in Ethereum, if you're just sending I don't know, money from one place to another, or if you're just doing a basic transaction, it doesn't cost a lot, or relatively speaking. But if you're trying to do a smart contract and do some kind of yield investing type of contract that depends on a lot of variables, then it's going to cost a lot, because it takes a lot of data here in the bottom part. So anyway, we'll go out of this as I struggle through trying to explain that. So each block is chained with the previous block, since it's storing its hash with the exception of the first block. Since the first block is created, it cannot have a previous hash. So by default, it's usually made up of zeros. This is called the Genesis block. But wait, what if each block is a Genesis block for a new blockchain? Is that even possible? I hear you ask. The short answer is yes, but in order to achieve this, we need to answer a lot of questions, add some features to our blocks, set some rules, and even then this technology might still have a lot of flaws. So just mind you, this is all just kind of him, this author, just throwing it out there. Let's see who this author is. It's Javier Miranda. Oh, that's the photo. Hakam Kuba. He's an engineering student looking for an internship as a blockchain developer, passionate about crypto blockchain. All right, now as he's going through, I'm picturing some of these other blockchains that I can think of in my head, and I'll talk about those here in a second. So anyway, a new dimension is a new blockchain out of the last block of an already existing blockchain. So I like the way this guy's thinking. First of all, he's thinking outside of the box, and being creative and kind of being an artist in a way. So basically, this means that when a new block is mined, instead of adding one new block, we add two. And one that follows the same blockchain, and the other one is the first block in our new blockchain. We will add to our blockchain structure a new section called a portal. And a portal can be part of the data or an independent unit like the header and the body. Wow. The main blockchain will be called dimension 0, and the new blockchain will be called dimension 1. Each new blockchain out of dimension 0 is called dimension 1. And likewise, each new blockchain out of dimension 1 is called dimension 2, and so on. In theory, we can have an infinite number of dimensions. Wow. So let's just chew on that for a Monday morning, huh? I hope you're not hungover. I certainly am not, but I hope you're not hungover, because this is gonna be a lot to process here. So why would I expand a block into a new blockchain? Oh yeah, see, there are my highlights. I was wondering where they came from, where they went. Anyway, so by expanding a block and transforming it into the new Genesis block of a new blockchain, the amount of data stored in a blockchain can greatly increase without worrying about the whole chain being oversaturated. And that's blockchain bloat. That's when people try to store too much information. NFTs being stored on a blockchain, when you have all that information, take up a lot of real estate, all that information about the picture, and then large bodies of text and data, they contribute to blockchain bloat. And then a lot of code, just unnecessary code, can contribute to blockchain bloat. And so whenever people talk about having a clean program and a clean smart contract, it's basically they've gotten rid of a lot of unnecessary code. And the more code you have, the more attack surface you have for exploits and hacks. So having less code and more streamlined code makes you have a more secure smart contract or blockchain and stuff like that. Because the more code you have, the more attack surface you have. So anyway, this could help deal with that problem by putting some of that code on a new blockchain on the next dimension through the portal. Another reason why they should expand a block into a new blockchain. Number 2, we can use different proofs in our new dimensions instead of relying on one. Okay, so there's, I know Rollups has proofs, and proofs are basically proof of data, proof of computation, and stuff like that. They just man, I'm having a hard time processing this because I barely know myself, and this is part of what this blog and this show I do is about, is me trying to grasp these concepts publicly. All right, so anyway, so we'll move on to number 3. The new dimensions can be private to protect personal information, professional secrets, sensible data, etc. So it's a way to safeguard your information into the next dimension, and then you have the keys to that portal, I suppose. By having multiple dimensions, each independent and at the same time attached to the main chain, we can have a new way of communication between different blockchains, a portal to be exact. Okay, so those are 4 reasons to expand to a new blockchain. Is it possible to access all the data in different dimensions? It really depends on the use cases of our dimensions and how flexible we want the dimensions to be. Our data can be transparent and at the same time private, because if you know that all public blockchains like Ethereum and Ethereum and Bitcoin, all that data is public. You can go on the blockchain explorer, and see all that information. I know that the baseline protocol has been trying to fix this, and Unibright and stuff like that, and Base Ledger, for large companies and corporations who don't necessarily want their transaction data public. So they have been working on this issue, and they've created the baseline protocol, which is now being adopted by large corporations such as Microsoft, SAP, and Coca-Cola, and all that stuff. I don't know the details of that, but just look up and Google, do a search on a baseline protocol and Base Ledger and stuff like that, and you'll get all the information you need about that. Okay, so is it possible to code this solution? He said, I'm working on a prototype called a prototype. It's called a prototype because, well, it's a small version of a huge potential change in the industry. At least that's what he thinks. As I said, any additional information, upgrades, studies, comments that you want are greatly appreciated. Possible use cases of multidimensional distributed ledger. Okay, he says, this can be particularly useful in medical use cases. We might not want the public to have access to the data, but at the same time, we want the doctors to. In the same place with enterprise, in large corporations, you don't want the public to have access to your data or the competitors, but you want your suppliers and your vendors, and people down the supply chain to have access to that information. For instance, in the medical case, a doctor can verify that the data is not tampered with, since he can store the hash of the next block. So when needed as a patient, I can present my private chain with my personal information without the need of making it public. Okay. Number 2, we can also use this architecture to store a huge amount of data. We could use data fragmentation techniques and split our data into different blocks, forming a new blockchain. Okay, cool. All right, so features we need to add. How's that different from sharding? I want to ask. I see a lot of similarities with different things. For instance, sharding techniques right here is one, and Zilliqa does that very well. And I know that Ethereum is working on doing a lot of sharding implementation in its future implementations. So the features we need to add: instead of mining one block, we will mine 2 blocks. Okay, one that goes with the current dimension and follows its rules, while the second one will follow the rules of the new dimension. All right. In case we decide to add a new dimension, we will add a portal to our block that will allow us to access the new dimension. Each portal has a gate number right here. Gate number equals block number and dot dimension number. So that's how that would look in code. And a gate number is unique. It's a way to define different portals in our system. So if we open a portal in the second block in our main blockchain, dimension 0, our gate number will be 2.0. Okay, so block number 0.0. Okay, so all right, we have the block number 2, and then 0.0 is the gate number, the dimension. All right, so a portal hash is equal to the hash of all the data in our current block. P underscore previous hash equals to zeros and then timestamp. So if we use proof of work for the new dimension, a nonces will be needed also. So this is an example of the structure of the new multi-dimensional blockchain. So you have the genesis block, you have the block number 1 that comes after it, and then there's the previous hash of the genesis block. And then you have block number 2, you have that previous hash tying that together, and then you have the data. Then down here you have the gate number. And then so that's the portal and the portal hash. And then right here you have the new blockchain, block number 1. And so is the gate number the genesis block of the new one? Interesting, because this starts on block number 1, all right, and not block number 0. But I guess block number 0 is only relegated to the first main block that all the other blocks go off of. So yeah, so you have this block number 2, and so this original blockchain continues on its merry little path. All right, so then you have this new block created through the portal, and then it goes into block number 1, and then it has all the information, the data, the current block hash, and then that's on the next block. Okay, and then say it wants to branch off again, and then it does so. It creates a new gate, and then for a third blockchain right here, and then so that's okay. This is the main dimension, all right, and then this is the first dimension. So this is dimension 0 up here. This is the dimension 1 right here, because in computer programming things always start with 0, and then this is dimension 2. And then I guess this would be over here, the start of dimension 3. So gate number 2, gate number 3. Yeah, interesting stuff. This kind of reminds me of Arc blockchain and Komodo blockchain as well. Arc is kind of a WordPress of blockchains in a way. It helps you, it creates a template for you to create new blockchains. Somehow they can all be tied together, I think, if I understand it correctly. And then Komodo uses Litecoin blockchain as a way to constantly have a connection with the blockchain, as it's a point of security and notarization. So you can always create a new blockchain based on Komodo, which is based on Lightchain, because it has these notarization blocks that do an op return just to use the other blockchain's security, but Komodo runs alongside of it in a way, not as a side chain, but as a completely independent blockchain. And then you can also create new blockchains off of the Komodo infrastructure that use Komodo's security, which uses Lightchain security. So it's similar, but not quite the exact same thing of what they're talking about here. So this hasn't been created out of a vacuum. You can only look at, like I said, Arc blockchain and Komodo blockchain and stuff like that, and various blockchain projects that use several different blockchains that have some kind of dependency of security or some kind of other types of purposes or jobs or tasks that all use to relay information back and forth between blockchains. So even though this concept is new, it's not created in a complete vacuum. So anyway, it's pretty interesting though, the whole idea of these multi-dimensional blockchains and then the gates. So you got to have some rules. So yeah, if a block has a hash in the header or in the previous hash, so if it has a hash of zeros, it may not expand its dimension anymore. Okay, so all right. So the genesis block cannot expand its dimension. Okay, so each dimension is independent and can be removed from the chain if needed. However, this may cause some problems, and tampering with the data in our new private chain is not impossible. One way to deal with this is storing the hash of the sum of all the blocks removed in a new variable in our portal. Interesting. Okay, so you can keep a record of all the stuff that's been removed in a new variable. So each dimension's proof of work, if it exists, is harder than the previous dimension by a number of zeros, and this prevents abusing proof of work. Save our planet. Use less electricity. Okay, I don't think that blockchain proof of work is the biggest problem in our use of electricity. I think our military industrial complex and our current banking systems are the problem in our use of proof of work. But that's a whole other episode. But sure, okay. You make each dimension a little bit more difficult, and that makes it to where people don't quite branch off willy-nilly just because they feel like it and want to create the largest multidimensional blockchain in the universe because they have power to worry about. Okay, so how new dimensions are created is up to your imagination, on request, random, or when some conditions are met. And this is something I was asking. So, like, what's to say that this person who created this blockchain and then people subsequently after won't get super carried away and just start creating new blockchain after new blockchain after new dimension after new dimension, and it just becomes this crazy multi-dimensional blockchain space, and yeah, it becomes impossible to keep track of. So yeah, I mean, I guess the whole idea of maybe each new dimension, the complexity becomes, the difficulty becomes a little bit more and more. So that could also be another reason to curb the new dimension enthusiasm. So I guess to kind of keep it a little more simple, even though this is in no way, shape, or form simple at all. Okay, so how they're created is up to your imagination. So you can create these. You find some request protocol to create a new dimension on the blockchain. You can make it completely random, or when some set of conditions are met. So yeah, all right, that kind of answered that question for me. So anyway, optimization in the next step. This architecture is nowhere near perfect, but I think it's a good approach if you want to really achieve a perfect distributed ledger. To summarize, imagine if any kind of blockchain you are currently looking at is a 2D point of view of a 3D shaped blockchain. Instead of using block number and gate number, we can use one variable that defines which block we are in and which dimension our current blockchain is situated in. Instead of adding new features to our block, our data could be the portal itself. This particular case could be used to store large amounts of data on chain. The next step is to code this prototype, which will be my next story. If you find this interesting, you can contribute to this or want to discuss anything with me, feel free to reach out. Okay, so yeah, I think it's a pretty cool idea. Like I said, I don't think it's created in a vacuum. I think the author of this needs to look at Arc blockchain and Komodo blockchain. And then also, I just talked about it a couple weeks ago. Or no, just last week, the counterparty.io for Bitcoin. Its whole base of, it does not have its own consensus network. Each node is attached to Bitcoin itself, but it is a way to do smart contracts and all types of stuff on the Bitcoin blockchain. So yeah, there's all different types. I mean, it's not exactly the same at all. It's not even similar, but I mean, there's just all these different ways. And then Polkadot as well, with its parachains and relays and all types of stuff. So there's a lot of different ways that some of these projects are using, and Cosmos network with its relays, are using multiple blockchains to achieve to achieve something. I don't know. So this in a way is using multiple blockchains, multiple dimensions is the way he's illustrating it, and it's truly fascinating. I love reading about new different stuff like this. And it's creative, it's artistic, and it's thinking outside of the box, and I love this type of thinking. So props to you, Hakam Kuba. I will tag you on this video when I post it, and pardon me for my amateurish knowledge of all this stuff, but that's what this video blog's all about. It's just about my journey through this space and trying to figure out this stuff and wrap my head around it. So you have the perspective now of a complete layman who's looking at this being like, what in the heck is this dude talking about? So let's try to figure it out. All right, well, good job. All right, well, you guys have a good day today. I'm going to go ahead and start my outro music. I got my commute. I have my commute. Go to work every day. I work 40 hours a week. And I still find time to do this because I love doing this stuff. I love reading about interesting new concepts. It's not all about price in the crypto space. It's about innovation. And the more innovation that we have in the crypto space, the harder it will be for the authorities to regulate us. And you kind of always have to stay ahead of the curve. Cops and robbers, right? And not saying that we're robbers, but hackers and regulators. Got to stay ahead of the game. All right, and this is doing that. All right, well, I will talk to you guys later, and you have a good day.